Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sophia Roy. I am the Executive Director of KIPP New Orleans Schools right here in the heart of New Orleans. We are here today to discuss our policy proposal for some good news, our 20% budget increase, as well as a grant that we have received that will allow us, that essentially represents about 10% of our operating budget that we'll be getting over the next couple of years. So just to ground us in our mission, recognizing that the mission of KIPP New Orleans Schools is to help students develop the knowledge, skills, and character strengths they need to succeed throughout their education and in the competitive world beyond so that they can live a life full of choices. We know that all students learn and achieve at high levels if given the opportunity. We also know that great education transforms lives. Our vision at KIPP New Orleans is that one day all children will have access to public schools that help them develop the knowledge, skills, character, and habits necessary to achieve their dreams while making the world a better place. So we'll talk a little bit about how this budget restoration will support our attainment of our mission and vision. Recognizing that our mission and vision are such, to support them, the goal of KIPP New Orleans Schools is to build a high-quality, sustainable network of tuition-free, open enrollment, college preparatory, public charter schools that empower students with the knowledge and skills necessary to succeed in school and life. This budget restoration will allow us to reinstate some critical programs and structures that will allow us to execute our vision, as well as provide some previously unserviced areas in terms of wraparound services and support that really create a community school environment. Through these additional funds, we'll be able to increase the quality of services we provide to students, decrease the student-teacher ratio, reinstate access to critical wraparound supports and provide additional wraparound supports, bolster our talent pipeline with high-quality coaching and support, and increase the quality of the technology to which our students have access. The implementation, so thinking about how we're going to use the funds, these can be split up into 6 functional areas. First, instructional and curricular leadership. So the network prior to our budget reduction had a robust instructional support staff, including a fully built out academics team of directors, of curriculum instruction, instructional coaches, and leadership coaches, which were deeply impacted and essentially stripped bare to facilitate the 20% budget cuts without impacting school-level student-facing functions and operations. So we recognize that the implementation of this leaner administrative staffing model has had a minimal impact on growth and achievement, with the exception of our network-wide academics team, who's responsible for curriculum and leadership coaching of instructional coaches on the ground level. We had initially combined our math and science DCIs into one DCI of STEM position. We'll be splitting that role back into 2 separate DCI positions, one for math and one for science. We'll also be splitting our newly formed DCI of humanities role back into 2 separate DCI positions, one for reading and one for social studies. This is just essentially undoing a decision that was made for our previous budget cuts. And this will allow for greater attention and specialization in the departmental area, in each departmental area. We will reinstate 2 network-level instructional coaching positions who will manage and support school-based instructional coaches. This decision supports our belief that a strong, well-crafted, rigorous curriculum coupled with instructional support and leadership are central to high achievement for students and teacher effectiveness. All right, so thinking about functional area 2, where we will be using our funds, teacher development. So we have historically contracted with multiple third-party education consulting groups and service providers for help with professional development, curriculum implementation, such as Relay Graduate School of Education, TNTP, or the New Teacher Project, and match coaching. Many of these partnerships were cut when the budget reduction strategies were implemented. So we took a step back from our third-party contractors and our curriculum implementation support, and recommitted to the 70-20-10 theory of development by focusing on increasing teacher effectiveness through on-the-job experiences and challenges. School leaders were the primary facilitators of teacher professional development, with the assistance from their managing directors and directors of curriculum instruction. Because though we know that talent development and retention is of critical importance to the sustainability of our model, we are going to use our funds to reinstate our teacher preparation partnership and leadership coaching partnership with Relay Graduate School of Education, focusing our teacher preparation partnership on our new to the model and new teachers to education. We will also be reinstating 2 of the 4 positions that were previously eliminated from our hiring and recruitment department to increase the ability of our network to find, hire, and retain high quality candidates. We'll also be reinstating 1 previously cut instructional coaching position per school. The next area where we'll be using our funds is the student-teacher ratio. So our previous budget cuts absolutely prioritize access to basic resources and high-quality teachers, allowing only minimal increases in the teacher-student ratio in pre-K 3. And the proposal did include staff cuts that caused moderate increases in student-teacher ratios in grade 4 through 12, but we were using educational research that indicated the impact of this change in achievement was negligible past grade 3. So we did see that minimal increases to teacher-student ratio in grades 4 through 12 did not have a meaningful impact on end-of-year assessment data or teacher retention for us, and as they'll remain at the current levels. But we will reduce our class sizes in pre-K to 3 back to their pre-cut levels. As we know, the available research and in-house data support that small class sizes are an important contributing factor to student achievement during these critical years. We will also reinvest in 2 teacher classrooms at the middle school level occupied by certified teachers and decrease the number of paraprofessionals, reversing a decision that we made during the budget cut in an effort to increase cost effectiveness of our staffing models. So class sizes will stay the same, potentially switching out less qualified with more qualified educators. The next area that we are investing in using our funds is around technology and IT. So during our initial budget, we were forced to make the tough decision to pause ongoing technology maintenance, updates, and new purchases of student one-to-one technology. This required school sites to prioritize the care and upkeep of existing technology and hold families more accountable to the timely payment of tech fees and fines for damage. Our student learning suffered because of these decreases to access to technology, and we felt like what we were doing was placing an unreasonable burden on families of especially high need. So we're committed to using our reinstated funding to rectify this situation. We will reinvest in our one-to-one technology across all of our campuses, ordering replacements and repairing existing technology where possible, where needed, to make sure that we get back down to that one-to-one ratio. So we'll be also implementing a STEM internship program. Our after-school STEM programs have begun to focus on IT and computer repair, and we're building out an internship program that will allow some of our high school students to intern part-time in our IT department to execute some of our repairs in-house as an end-of-day sort of work study. These internships are advantageous both for their cost effectiveness and what they contribute to our network, and the opportunity that they provide for our students to get work experience and learn a high demand technical trade skill. Another area where we'll be using our funds is for vendors, specifically food vendors. We, at the time of our budget cuts, transitioned to more cost-effective food services. So we went with the lowest cost strategy for food services, facilities maintenance, and IT support contracts, and reduce the total number of staff that's supported in those functional areas. We do, though, know that high quality, high nutrition, sustainable and environmentally responsible food services align with our mission and vision, and that a healthy mind begins with a healthy body. Our children cannot learn to the highest bar of excellence if they are not equipped with the fuel that they need for their brains and bodies to be firing on all cylinders. So we did see a decline in the nutritional quality of our breakfast and lunch as a result of our lowest cost vendor selection strategy. We will be using our funds to reinvest significantly in fresh food options for our scholars that include locally sourced fresh produce. We'll be implementing a gardening elective at each of our middle and high school sites with the goal of creating a community garden where all of the produce harvested goes back to student and community families. We will use part of our grant money to make the initial investment for equipment and ground preparation, and hope to make the program self-sustainable in future years by hosting a weekly farmers market where students will sell their harvests. We are in the process of accepting bids for higher quality partnerships for facilities maintenance and IT and data management support, going with the highest quality, highest support strategy in terms of accepting bids as opposed to lowest costs. We had also, as a result of our budget crisis, eliminated the security guard position at all primary and elementary schools. There's a lot of research that supports the elimination of this position, just based on community building and inclusiveness. And we also had eliminated the crossing guard position at all of our high schools. In 2019, though, we recognized that it's even more critical to make sure that our students are safe when they are with us. So we'll be reinstating the security guard position at all of our primary and middle schools and reinstating the crossing guard positions at all of our high schools. And so the last sort of area where we'll be discussing our use of funds is around wraparound services, some of which we continue to provide through our budget cuts, some of which we'll be reinstating, and some of which we'll be adding to. So we're going to be using our grant money to invest in critical wraparound services, including before and after care for working families, an additional social worker for each school, laundry facilities for students, an after-school tutoring program, a GED program for parents and other immediate family members of our scholars. And given the relief of the 20% budget reinstatement, our full-time grant writer will focus their efforts over the next 2 years on finding and securing revenue streams that can sustain these programs. So thinking about how we're operationalizing all of these uses of funds, first, we're thinking about our human capital strategy, beginning with that our ultimate loyalty is to students. Our new budget proposal represents an investment in students' education by reinvesting in the adult staff structures and systems that keep a high bar for excellence in classrooms. This proposal will increase the sustainability of the work for and therefore retention of great teachers. And we are investing directly into the development of staff and professional educators and eliminating barriers that previously negatively impacted the effectiveness of their work. So thinking about data and how we'll measure our progress and our instructional impact. We will measure the impact of our investment through instructional outcomes as well as feedback from our stakeholders. Student, teacher, and family surveys will be one data point given at the beginning, middle, and end of the year. Our goal is that these surveys reflect a high level of satisfaction for all stakeholders. Student assessment data on nationally normed assessment and WEA MAP, or the measure of academic progress, is one national measure that we'll be using. We'll be setting goals by school for what percentage of students we expect to be at or above the 50th percentile. At a state level, we'll be using our assessment indexes for end-of-year assessments statewide with a year-over-year cohort growth analysis. Our goal is an average of 1.25 years of growth in 1 year for each student at each site. Teacher retention will be another data point which we measure. Our goal is 85% plus retention of staff measured as effective or highly effective. And lastly, we'll be looking at school performance scores, which is an amalgamation of many of the data points that we mentioned above. But our goal is an increase of at least 5 points this year at each of our network schools. Just a little bit of research and data that supports the implementation of wraparound services, which is where many of the funds for our grant will be going. You can look at studies done by the Children's Aid Society of New York City, the Tulsa Area Community Schools Initiative, and the California Healthy Start to see what the impact and outcomes were of making sure that students had access to critical wraparound services. Children's Aid Society saw academic growth up to 250%, a 12-to-1 benefit to cost ratio for every dollar invested. Tulsa Area Community Schools Initiative closed the income-based achievement gap in math in highest performing sites. In California, Healthy Start saw statistically significant increases in academic proficiency and GPA, up to 25% in reading and 50% in math. Much of the funds we're allocating are towards the reinstatement of previous investments, which require minimal operational considerations. But each school's garden will require an equipment land readiness investment, including soil testing and ground leveling. We'll need space, instructors, and oversight for our GED and tutoring programs. We'll need space, equipment, and supplies for our laundry facilities. We'll need instructional and staffing changes managed by school leaders, instructional coaches, and directors of curriculum and instruction. Communication.